Aboard the mighty airship Windswift, 4 valiant captains of the Order of Histari are tasked with hunting down the madmen who would bring back the Dragon Overlords. These are the adventures of the Windswift. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Well, today sees us kicking off our new 2-hour format. So if you don't know what that means, it means you didn't watch last week's episode, and I don't blame you. Anyway, so the point is today is a 2-hour recording marathon where you get to watch these individuals try to hopefully find their way through the quagmire that is the deserts in the south near the city of Theban. But to determine who tells us what happened last week, we roll the dice of destiny, and it is Michael, Mr. Kesevan.
I absolutely remember what happened.
Oh?
Yeah, no, I do. Okay, so as memory serves for Mutaru, memory being, of course, slightly hazy after a ship fell on him, we, as the members of the Order of the Histari aboard the ever-lovely Windswift, have found ourselves crashed into the middle of the Sajet Desert. But we have found that the Sajet Desert is not as inhospitable as we had once imagined, having encountered various members who survive in this arid wasteland, including, of course, a very grinny, cheerful merchant who I've come to know quite well. A group of Sajet locals who are, well, like fish in the ocean, so too are these people to the sand as they traverse it in a very peculiar manner. But despite, obviously, our encounters with these various individuals, we have also been in pursuit of one individual who has actually escaped from the Windswift. She has managed to elude capture and run across the desert with many of the captains, other captains, of course, being in pursuit. They managed to find a small patch of very silty sand, enough for, of course, someone to swim through and traverse. That someone is pulling faces? No? Or is
He's
he frozen?
eating lemons.
I don't know, I feel like he might be... Oh, no, there he is. Okay. Yes, was, of course, the ever-lovely Graham, who upon sifting and searching and swimming through this murky, sandy depth, found himself in the company of the dreaded desert sand eels. And, of course, Con and Blackston decided to turn this into a small fishing expedition, as they were searching through this area for our captive. But alas, none to no avail. They needed to pull out and run away before Graham was turned into a snack, and they are swiftly returning to the Windswift, where, of course, Mutaru, myself, has recently learnt that the person who we were chasing, the person who had attacked our ship and of course caused us so many grievances, was in fact responsible for the natives not turning their ire towards us. So, I have no idea what's going to happen with that, but, sure enough, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and we are going to get out of this hot and sweaty desert, if, my name isn't Mutaru.
And on that note, we find ourselves adrift on the catamaran that was once owned by Dajar, which was commandeered by Blackston in the name of the Order.
Not commandeered. Requisitioned.
Requisition. Apologies, yes. Requisition in the name of all things sacred.
DM, am I still tied to the rope?
The last time we were with you, you were being hauled on deck, covered in the fine silty sand and bits of eel that had exploded due to the timiest action of the paladin throwing a bottle of Greek fire. And I believe you're being attended to by our good doctor, Con.
I smack his hands away and I go, "You're both intolerable." And I jump back
I beg your pardon?
And I jump back in.
You madman!
All right. As you hit the surface of that slippery, dust-like sand, it splashes around you as if it was water itself, and you start to sink deeper and deeper within.
Is it possible I can use my dash to go faster?
You start to try and pull yourself down and pull yourself towards it. What you realize as you're busy thrashing around, you are making a little bit more headway, but the stuff is so fine, so powder-like, that you are just naturally sinking almost faster than you can pull yourself down. There's very little resistance. What you also realize is that if you didn't have the rope tied to you, you would not be able to swim back up. There is simply not enough viscosity in the water. There's not enough resistance for you to actually find purchase to be able to move about in this space. What are the two of you, Con and Blackston? What are you two doing now that the rogue has once again perforce dashed himself into yon muddy river?
After a moment of disbelief, I make sure the rope is still secured to the boat.
It quickly unfurls.
Unfoiled.
I found
I just look at Korn and just like shrug. Didn't he just say he didn't want to go down there anymore?
Should one of us go with him? I don't know. How long is this rope?
The rope itself is about 60 foot, give or take an inch or two. But Naxon Hashtahep, who is your second officer and whom you asked to pilot the sand ship, yes, he steps forward and looks over the side of the catamaran into the swirling sandy waters. Does he realize the exploded eel is acting like, what is word? Chum in the water to the other eels? He is a very brave man. I would not have jumped in there once all the bits of eel are floating around, attracting everything.
I imagine if he had known that he might have had second thoughts.
At this point, I am not sure it is bravery that is motivating him.
Green is really smart. He is not wise.
I would say he's trying to prove a point to himself or us. I don't know, but it's ridiculous. He's going to get himself killed.
It is his decision, though.
Just remember, if he does get taken by an eel, you must cut the rope. It'll drag the whole ship down with it if we're not careful. They're quite powerful creatures.
He can protect himself, I guess. Otherwise, he's a survivor, right? That's what you said? Kind of looking at Khan.
Well, there's no point in more of us going in there. Either he finds something or he runs out of rope and we have to bring him back.
Or he gets eaten by an eel.
Or he gets eaten by an eel. He knew what he was getting into. After all, we just yanked him from the jaws of one and he dived right back in there. I mean...
After complaining about it, yes.
Meanwhile...
The boy has a death wish.
Someone who is not complaining is the Jockenstokes. That would be Waffen and Qualen, the two gnomes that are helping rebuild the broken Windswift. Mutaro, you have the indomitable Dajar, who is now trying to sell you a certain type of tea known locally as tea, which is considered the best tea in all of Brexia. He has half a ton of it on board his ship, and he's willing to sell it to you for a very good price. The Jockenstokes, however, have almost completed repairs, and this necessitates the first officer, Lieutenant Jasani Tai, the very prim and proper human female, to knock on the door of the wardroom that you are sitting in with Mr. Dajar.
Yes, enter, please. Please.
Apologies for interrupting, sir, but
No,
I should
not at all.
inform you that we expect to be completed with our repairs within an hour. The supplies that Mr. Dajar provided, along with the motivation of your rather eloquent speech previously to the Jockenstokes about having a completely defenseless vessel, appears to have sped things along quite nicely. They inform me that the repairs to the hull itself will be done whilst we are in flight, as it were, and that there is very little chance of anything falling out of the ship until such time as those repairs have been completed.
That is most excellent news. Thank you.
They also...
do we have a... Oh, sorry.
My apologies, sir. They also wanted me to inform you that in about 20 minutes, they hope to lift off to raise the ship at least 5 foot off of the ground so that we can do a full visual inspection of the lower hull of the ship.
Ah, excellent. Tell them I will be there momentarily. I wish to also attend the inspection.
Very good, sir. She gives you a nod, turns, closes the door, and leaves. So, my supplies have helped your ship to fly again. Yes?
Well, that is to be seen. But, you have played an instrumental part. And I suppose there is some sort of very lucrative side of this coin for you.
Oh, yes. Very much so. But it costs you absolutely zero. That's right. Something from Dajar, the greatest trader this side of Akhenaten, has got something for you that will be for him that is for nothing. This is an amazing deal. Once in a lifetime, never to be repeated. I promise.
Mutaru sort of sits and sort of places his hands on his cup of tea.
It's good tea, yeah?
It is tea. No, it is excellent
the best
tea, actually. It is excellent tea. What cost do you speak of if it obviously will not come in gold?
I have had a moment to think whilst you have been going about your captainly-like duties, and doing so well, I might add. I am impressed. If I was a crew member, I would be motivated to work at least 125%. No, for you, 130% at the very least.
Well, do you want a job? I mean, we could always use
that is
a very able-bodied individual. It wouldn't be any trouble at all. I mean, we could easily give you plenty of positions. Many open up all the time, and there's quite a reasonable care package. Dental. It's quite a reasonable lifestyle. Have you ever considered being a member of the Histari?
Of the Histari? No, sir. I am not the kind who, like to throw myself in the pathway of danger. She is very dangerous, and I do not like to sail there. No, I sail on the edge. I help her as she continues on her voyage of destruction. Wait, I'm not sure where that metaphor went, but it went there for free, which is what you have to pay me in return for all of my services I have provided to the Order of Histari. May they protect us for all of eternity. Yes, indeed. Very much so. All I need you to do, and he slides over a piece of parchment on the table, is just to sign it on the bottom of the line, just there. Just put your name, put your hoof, put your stamp, put your mark, put your symbol, and then we're done. All bets off, all costs completed. When my ship come back, we leave, you leave, we're all happy, everybody is content, and you have got the best tea in the world in your hold, the TT, and I have got what I wish for, and it has cost you nothing. That's right. Zero, nothing, less than nothing. Why are you not holding the pen? Because you haven't got a pen. That's why I have a pen for you. You can keep this pen too. It's also free. Comes with the package. Now, sign on the line.
I inspect the pen.
It's a fairly manky-looking feathered pen with a cheap brass tip in the front. It'll probably work for a little bit, but if you press too hard, you'll bend it and the whole thing will leak.
I sort of say, you have been quite a straightforward individual.
Yes.
You've your supplies have definitely made all the kind of difference.
Yes.
And I slowly start moving my pen towards the line. And I say, and that tea was absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Was it chamomile?
It is tea from Takatumen. Takatumen tea. The best tea in the world. Yes. Sign.
Okay, I start moving closer again and say,
Yes.
Takatumen, is there a small province of tea growers down there? I thought it was not really suitable for tea country.
Takatumen is one of the greatest capitals of all of Brexia. It is an amazing place, spectacular. I take you on tour there one day. Very low prices, best accommodation you can imagine, food you can't even believe, and I, for you, will organize camels like you have not seen. Trust me. Takatumen, fantastic place. Tea grown in the sewers, very, very good, very nice. Now, just sign.
Yes, of course. Oh, I'm sorry. My here. This bit here.
On that big blank line, yes.
The big line. Okay. I take a cursory glance at the first few lines of the whatever the contract. I imagine it is.
So all it is it's an endorsement, and it's rather poorly written, and it simply says that Dejars Wholesale and Desert Trading Inc.pty.ltd.cc is the greatest trader in the southern deserts of Aki Sadab, and has the full endorsement of the Order of Histari to be the sole supplier of all and any such items as may be required by said order within the Aki Sadab region as defined by the Great Proclamation of the Pharos of Sajet, 13 CY, Common Year 13, which was 300 years ago.
I move my pen closer. A little closer.
Yes.
I say, what am I doing? Blackston's the quartermaster. He's the one who will be signing these orders and things like that.
But he will be signing.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be perfectly able to it. He is a very smart individual. He knows his way around all of this stuff. I'm just the pretty face that keeps the crew happy. Well, motivated, should we say. But this is very... can I keep this? I sort of hold up the pen.
Yes. I have plenty more, he says, opening up his coat, and you seeing an array more of pens.
Just like a magazine.
I go, yes, well, yes, well, I'm sure that he'll be most happy. I'll sort of roll up the contract and sort of, again, put it with the pen. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to, but for now we need to see if this ship will fly. So, perhaps you would like to come out on deck and see for yourself.
Absolutely. And don't forget to bring your tea. The tea, the best tea. Yes?
Oh, of course.
Good.
I sort of grab my cup of tea and...
All right, Graham, you have gone down 20 feet.
My Mutaro's senses are tingling.
Mutaro
Yep.
Vision 2?
Yeah. Trying to dive as fast as I can, remembering like the voices earlier, thinking like, at first, I wonder if they're voices of like those eels. Maybe they were trying to be like sirens, but no, they just seem to be flesh bags. That must be something else. So I'm going deeper, faster.
All right.
Faster, stronger. I'm going with
Deeper,
ours.
Would you please make an acrobatics check, because as you've gone down 30 feet, suddenly you're not suspended in anything.
Whoa!
Just dangling.
I'm actually not proficient in this as a rogue. Oh, that's beautiful. So that's 9 total. 9!
9. All right. Well, as you pull forward, suddenly your fingers feel a different temperature quite clearly, and then it all happens at once. In this
Volcano.
this tangle of entrails and legs and hands and body, you land in a very unceremonial plop onto the ground in a chamber, a sandy chamber. To look up, there's bits of eel all over this room, and a very rotund-looking woman is standing there with a mop in one hand and a bucket in the other. The bucket appears to be some sort of clay manufacture, and she's giving you this look of, I just swept there.
Your beauty far surpasses what I've heard of you. I will help clean this up, of course, if that's what's needed. Where am I? Gibberish. I don't speak this. Sajet woman.
Sajeti, hi. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi?
Other Sajet, longer hair. Yes.
She holds her mop up defensively.
No. Okay, and I'm gonna pull out a gold coin, be like, shiny. Yes. You want? You want shiny?
The mop gets put against the wall.
I have a fear of cleaning devices. Please take this gold shiny coin from me.
A pudgy little
Blackstone.
hand reaches out and grabs the coin. Her
The
one
rope stopped
tooth
moving.
then is applied to the coin as she tries to bend it. She then takes the coin,
observing this situation. Yeah.
slides it amongst
Oh,
the
God.
cleavage, gives you this big toothless grin except for one tooth.
Smile right back, and then the back of my head going, this is totally screwed.
And you just feel a tug on the rope. It's like, oh.
Actually, that's the question. Do I actually, like, is there still tension in the rope or no?
And we
Well,
keep it on tension. We didn't just like leave you and like fall to your death, right? I mean, we kind of
Right.
gave you rope. So
Yeah, that's the
Both
one.
are,
Okay.
looking at the rope going, it stopped moving. Is that a good or bad thing?
let's see if he pulls back and I just like tuck.
You can feel
Okay,
weight
so-
to it, Simon.
I'm in the room. There's body parts. She's sweeping. Like, are there walls around me or?
So the floor is sandstone that has been swept clean by her and has been chiseled fairly smooth. The walls look to be sandstone blocks that are holding it in place, but the ceiling, when you glance upwards, you can see that there is a circle of stone that forms the ceiling, and in the center of that circle, there is a hole, if you like, that you fell through, and there is a blue shimmering energy just in that whole area. And on the other side, you can see the swirling sands, and you are convinced you see the tail end of an eel swimming over that hole. The rope continues up into that space and beyond to the ship above you. From the rest of the chamber, there's an archway that leads out into what looks to be a corridor. The lighting is a very unusual orange luminescence, and you realize that there isn't a candle or a fire source anywhere. It's almost as if the sandstone itself is giving off this soft yellow-orange light.
I start trying to speak potentially in Elvish, just to see if that does anything. Let's see. Do you know where the other Sujet woman is gone? An escapee? I am looking for her. So that's like I don't understand, or like no, I have no idea where she went.
You have no idea. When she
Crap.
shakes her head, there's outlying regions of her that shift in opposite directions because they haven't yet got the message to turn left or right because they're so far away from center.
I feel like we've seen this type of woman before. Archive might release later. Let's see. Okay. Is there an exit?
Yeah.
Besides the hole?
There's that archway that leads into a passageway. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm just gonna slowly walk that way. Be like, I'm going this way, so you enjoy.
She shakes, as does the rest of her.
Mm-hmm.
The rope, gentlemen, stopped. When you pulled on it, Blackstone, there was a little bit of resistance, enough to be a weight of Graham on the end of the line. Now it starts to move again. Only this way now, it's instead of moving downwards, it's now starting to move along the line, and you can see the rope is just sliding through that swirling sand. What are the two of you doing?
How much rest rope do we have?
You've got about 30 feet left.
But as
he's
long as
not
he
been
isn't
yanked
tucking-
about down there.
As long as he isn't tucking frantically to pull him back, I just say wait.
He certainly can hold his breath for a very long time.
Can I start stealthing? Because I want to be careful
With a
how
tether.
far I go. I know stealthing into the hallway as best I can.
I have a
give
sudden
me a-
moment of hairs on the
Oh,
back
wow.
of my neck and look around the place. Give
Alright.
our surroundings a quick scan.
Gotcha. Give me a perception check, please, Con. What was your stealth then?
It's pretty high. I rolled a natural 19,
Alright,
so
that's
that's gonna be
14.
That's fine. 14 for your
Yep.
lookabout. All right. As you're scanning out over the desert,
27.
the afternoon sunlight is playing with mirages in the far distance, and it looks almost as if there's a city, and then you look again and it's a palm tree, you look again and it's just blank space. So these little mirages are all over the horizon. However, one thing that is not a mirage is you can see two men, maybe 400 yards away, just standing. What is unusual is that they're both standing on one leg each. Their other leg seems to be forming a 4 shape with the leg, so they're standing just on one leg. They're holding these long spears. They're completely wrapped in tan and white cotton robes, and they're just watching the goings-on of the catamaran.
Blackston, no sudden moves, but we're being watched by unfamiliar-looking individuals, who are probably some natives of this region by the looks of them.
Kind of take a look at our helmsman and good friend who comes from this area and knows more about it than I do.
I would guess those are the Darahags. The Darahags are the sand people that live across most of the deserts. They are not affiliated with anyone in particular. Usually we would be dead by now if they were going to attack.
They have a fearsome reputation.
Indeed they do, yes. So why they are just watching, I do not know.
This day gets more and more interesting.
I'm done with this day, Con. I'm so done with this day. Let's just wait for Graham. Let's just wait for Graham to finish his reconnaissance, whatever that is, and call it a day.
I give the rope one of those tugs, not so much, come back as, you better be doing something good.
That's an entire interesting...
It's a sort of a tug and a twist, right? I mean, that...
Morse code. Tug, 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 tug.
So
I don't understand Morse rope.
Yeah. So as you are treading your way down this passageway, Graham, you get a sense that this is a much bigger complex than just 1 or 2 rooms. There aren't very many shadows because the light is emanating from the walls themselves. However, the corridors are fairly empty, and when you hear people moving, they're not moving in any cautious kind of way. They're just walking. And because the floor is natural cut sandstone, there's grinding and crunching sounds underfoot. You can just step into a room, and most of the rooms that you're passing appear to be some kind of storage rooms. There's boxes, crates, very poorly constructed, nothing opulent whatsoever. Housing mostly dried foods, blankets, carpets that have all been woven out of a coarse wool. Very neutral colors, not a lot of decoration on them. But you haven't gone more than 30 foot down the corridor, having sort of ducked left or ducked right, when you realize that the rope is not going to allow you to go much further. As you're realizing that, looking at the rope tied around your waist and contemplating what to do next, you hear the undeniable voice of Hashtal as she walks past the little room that you are in.
Psst. Stop.
Before you do that, she's talking to someone else.
Oh, she's... Oh,
That's why you hear a voice, yes.
Nah, I do it anyway. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're right. No, I'll listen in real good.
All right.
Try to, at least.
So once they have left, we will then proceed on to Kos. Is that what you are saying? She says. Then another voice responds in the same language that the woman was trying to speak to you in, but it's a much deeper, masculine kind of voice. At which point they stop walking. You can hear her suddenly stop. Give me a sense motive check, please.
Or insight?
Insight. Sorry, wrong system.
This is going to be beautiful. Let's see what I got. Aha! Actually, that's not bad. I believe I have a -2 modifier to that, so that's going to be 16.
16, right. You can hear from her tone, and you can almost imagine her body language when she stopped with her hands on her hips. Mm-hmm. That is not what we agreed to. I said I would help you if you allowed that ship to get away. I don't want any kind of slaughtering happening on my hands, and they might not get away by sunset. Why did you tell them that it was only sunset that they had until? That might just have ruined everything. These are particularly stubborn people. there's an offhanded response from the man, and then they carry on walking away. What do you do?
Really needed to open up that tome.
And another tug on your waist.
Okay. I'm cutting the rope.
All right. So do you cut it or do you just undo it? I mean, it's.
Okay. I'll just quickly undo it.
Not right. And then what do you do with it? Because now it's leading into that chamber and then 30 foot down the passageway.
Is there anything I could tie it to? Like something against the wall, like any
There are
just something that could like keep it secure.
You could probably tie it around one of the crates. The crates are full of dried dates and figs and that kind of
I will
fruit.
do that.
So you tie it there, it'll be quite tight.
Yep, I will do it. I'll do that.
The rope momentarily goes, it slackens a little bit, and then it goes back to being taut. It's played out fully from your end up on the ship.
And then I'm gonna
Well,
keep
either
going.
he's found something or he's died and is drifting with the currents.
Grim almost wants to tug it twice to see them just lug up this giant crate. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and it would have made no sounds at all.
That's true. I will keep stealthing and just try to listen in on the conversation just for like another 20 feet. Just see if I get any intel, and then I'll have to go back.
All right.
I say we give him 5 minutes and then start yanking.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So
Do I have to roll again?
what I'd like is an initiative roll from all four of you, as a matter of fact.
But my stealth was 27, man.
Why am I getting dragged into this?
18.
7.
Also 18.
All right, so we got 18 from Graham, 18 from...
No. I rolled a 7.
Oh,
It was
7.
18 from Michael, and 18 from
And Con, yours was?
Jono's. Oh, wait.
Con. 18.
18. All right. Okay, so Graham, you're busy sneaking behind them, and at one point they stop, they go into a room. You realize that there are no doors anywhere. You haven't passed a single door. You've passed lots of archways, lots of entrance hallways and that kind of thing, but nothing that has a door over it. Now, in your time, these last few minutes, you passed a room that had maybe 30 or 40 men inside it, drinking, singing, chatting, having a good old time. You slipped past them without a problem. You passed another room which appeared to be full of women, and they were doing whatever it is that they were doing, chatting, laughing, singing, just having a good time. Everyone seemed to be fairly relaxed. There are one or two guards that stand in front of archways that seem to be more important than anything else. But this place is built almost like a honeycomb. There are passages in all different directions, so it's easy to slip down one and go out the other side and vice versa. So it's not difficult whatsoever to keep up with these people. The only thing that you pick up in this journey is she mentions a name. And the name is Talneem.
Talneem. You know what? I'm just going to spell it how I think it is. Talneem.
Talneem, yes. And you get a sense that Talneem is the leader of this group and is definitely moving against her wishes rather than with her wishes. And he seems to tolerate her because she is going to help him with something happening at Kos, whatever or wherever Kos is. But what is definitely clear is that she was adamant that the Windswift was to get away from wherever it is currently. Well, you know where it is, crashed. However, before you can get any more information, we cut away to Mutaru, watching as Lieutenant Ty, standing at the wheel, tries to raise the Windswift. She has looked better almost every other day of her life. The mast looks like a patchwork of bits of metal that have been bolted to wooden trusses. And at one point, it almost looks like there's 3 separate masts that have just been tied together. And as the ship starts to rise, sand is pouring off the sides of her. Clouds of dust are rolling out in different directions. The scent of fresh wood and old wood and sand just is almost overwhelming. The ship rises majestically up 5 foot, and you can see the central keel line, it runs from the front to the back, from the bow to the stern of the ship. The central keel line has been snapped quite neatly in half. So if she were to dive quickly, there is a big chance her nose would just rip off and sail upwards whilst the rest of the ship carries on down. So that is something that really needs to be repaired. However, the good news is she lifts, she raises, and she hovers and holds. Sand continues to pour out. There are hourglasses everywhere with just these sand cones forming around her, almost outlining her original grave where she used to be buried. There's a cheer from the crew as they realize that the ship has lifted off and hasn't broken in half.
Mutaru doesn't cheer. He actually has a very somber look on his face, and he'll walk underneath the ship and go towards where that crack in the keel line is and sort of run his hand along it. In terms of the damage, is it more or less being held together simply by the patchwork, or is it like on the cusp of the collapse?
So it looks as if there's been some hasty repair work that's been done on the inside of the ship. The guys couldn't get to the outside yet. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to raise her up. Yeah. In terms of her splitting, the rest of the hull work above the keel, those planks are still intact. So that's what's holding her together at the moment. But those wooden planks are designed to act as pressure coming from the sides, not necessarily upward and downward pressure. That's what the keel line is there for, so keep the ship straight.
Yeah. I, the player, am actually very familiar with the keel line.
But yeah, so it doesn't look like it's going to collapse immediately.
Sure. I'm going to do a little bit of roleplay, but do let me know if this is a little bit, if this isn't in what in the vein that you're thinking at the moment. But I'll call over the Lockenstokes and I'll have a word with them privately, away from the other members of the crew. Mutaru looking at them and says, Lockenstoke, you don't happen to know much about Chung, I suppose, fables or anything like that?
I'm terribly sorry, sir, but I haven't got a clue about the Chung fairy tales. Gnomish fairy tales I can tell you about, but Chung I'm not too familiar with.
Well, there was once a tale, one that's taught to many Chung who, try to leave the Chung Dai and head out overseas. My mother told it to me when I was a lad. She says, there was once a story about a ship. The ship carried its crew and loved it so much that it in fact became like a person itself. It felt, it laughed, it breathed and sighed with the crew themselves as well. However, one day, the ship, like many things, grew old. Her body, like ours, withered, and eventually her crew needed to say farewell. Do you know why they build ships, starting with the keel?
Well, you've got to start somewhere, sir.
The Chung believe that the keel holds the soul to all manner of vessel of ship. It is the single starting place. It is the backbone. It is the bridge. It carries the burden of the soul of the crew. Injuries like this can often be the beginning of the end.
Oh, no, don't say that, sir, says Quallen, rubbing away a tear. I couldn't handle it if it was the end of the Swift, sir. We put too many hours into her. She saved us. Remember the ice fields, sir. Remember the ice fields. Remember the ice fields. The spirit's nae broken, sir. We'll get her back. We'll get her back. We'll get her back. Please say we'll get her back, sir.
Mutaru at this point stops, sort of in his off-distant gaze and looks to the two gnomes, and he says, and he places an arm on both of their shoulders and says, "If there is anyone that can breathe life back into this ship, it is the two of you. And I would like you both to make this your utmost priority. But I want you to do me a favor.
Anything.
Make the repairs, but do not bring this to Khan's attention." And I pat them on the shoulder and I leave them to their work.
Right, okay. You leave two very confused gnomes stuck between a rock and a hard place. Speaking of Khan...
That's what they used to, right?
Yes. Speaking of Khan and Blackston, the two of you have now got your rope. What are you doing? You said you were starting to pull it back up.
Well, we wanted to give him 5 more minutes, right?
We gave him 5 minutes.
Yeah, this has kind of been playing out. So all I've asked
5 minutes are up.
Your 5 minutes has basically come up.
What do you think, Blackston? We can't really wait. All right, let's do it.
All right, so you start pulling on this rope.
Yeah.
Okay. It
Behind him, the weapons record.
there's a bit of resistance initially, until you really give it a hard yank, and then it starts to move. And it's heavy. Graham wasn't this heavy.
Something's not right. Wait. Something's not right. An eel's got him.
No, sir. If an eel had him, we would be going down too. The eel is very strong, sir. Very strong, says Naxon, holding the tiller.
Stop talking, more bullying.
Suddenly, the rope stops dead and starts pulling back. But it feels...
Eel's got him.
An eel, you would expect...
Stop with your eels!
...the tug to be a continuous tug. But this feels like something pulling, holding, pulling, holding.
So it's a tug of war. I mean...
Someone is tugging back.
Yeah.
What is he doing down there?
Just stop complaining and pull, you fool!
All right. I'd like you both to give me a strength check, please.
Athletics or just...
Athletics is fine. Athletics is perfectly fine. You brace yourself and...
24.
24?
15.
All right, 24 and 15. Okay, that's more than enough between the two of you. So you're hauling on this rope, and...
When we finish pulling him out, I'm gonna... Ever stop talk.
You have got an extra 20 foot up.
Okay, so
and then you hear this loud screaming. Although it's muffled, it's coming from the end of the rope. There is a frantic screaming. Do any of you speak Sajeti?
I mean, our mate does.
Yes, he comes running over. He's like, "You have caught a... Graham has become a..." He shouts into the sand something.
I continue pulling, man.
And as he does so, suddenly the rope comes loose and you just pull up. And this crate of dried figs sails up into the air a good 20 foot, spraying out dried fruit in all directions until it lands with a thud on the sand and comes to a rest.
What is that?
I believe you have just stolen a lady's figs, sir.
Oops.
What
Requisitioned.
The
What was
lady
she saying?
who was holding onto the rope, sir. She was screaming that someone, a thief, is stealing her fruit.
Let's scream.
Looking at the rope,
the
I think he tied
devil-
it to the crate, sir.
Yes, that apparent. Oh God, Graham. Now he's trapped down there.
No.
And we have
I kind of look at Con and say, "Good luck," and I jump into the sand.
Oh Jesus!
It was a very simple plan. So easy. Just go back to it afterwards, but no.
Man
I don't know
overboard,
this.
man. No man left behind.
Mutaru talking to his grandkids. I had a group once. I lost them all in the desert. I had some tea. I fixed the ship. They were just gone.
Yeah,
I live my new life.
Nexton looks at you, Quan.
I mean, you can try to stop me, right? But you see, I look at you, good luck, and I grab my stuff and get ready to jump down, right? So if you want to intervene, otherwise I'm overboard. Rescuing my fellow crewmate.
Off he goes. Bye.
Best operation ever.
Do we have line of sight on the Windswift?
No, the Windswift's about 1.5 miles away, so not yet.
So they have no idea what's going on, and we have no idea what's going on over there.
No.
Brilliant.
Yes, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially, completely and utterly split the party. There is not one person with any other one person. Congratulations. I feel like there is some sort of achievement. Guy has unlocked it. Ta-da. That's it.
Remember, we are all veterans of D&D. We've played this before. We know what we're doing.
Yeah,
we do. We're making guys' life hard. That's what we're doing.
Do you?
Not anymore.
Does Blackston take a rope with him?
No. Well, you jumped in with your equipment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Nexon.
Maybe I had a rope in hand. If possible, I would have had a rope in hand, but I didn't take the time to
tie it down.
I mean, that's up.
Yeah.
That's
Blackston,
up
take
to
a
you.
rope. Shit.
Nexon taps you on the shoulder and then points out over the desert, over in a different direction. Those two figures are now walking towards the ship.
Oh, good. Just what we needed.
Meanwhile, back to Graham. Graham, you are skulking in the shadows. There was a commotion. It sounded quite far away from where you are because you've been making your way through the complex. There was some shouting, and then there was some more shouting. And now you can hear someone is banging a gong or a bell of some kind. There's this dull gong, gong, gong.
Discover the rope? Oh, no.
Feet are starting to move. Bodies are starting to move around. The hive is waking up.
Okay, 1 second. So I turn around behind me, like pretty much everybody's like starting to flood out of the rooms.
Right.
Okay. So it's sandstone. Is there enough loose sand to grab in bundles, kind of?
Handfuls, you mean?
How do you bundle stone? Can you explain this to me?
You mean handstone?
Like are there like handfuls like sand that I can grab?
Yeah,
maybe
there's lots of loose sand everywhere. It does creep in and blow in and fall in from time to time, but not a hell of a lot.
Okay, darn. I was gonna try and like cover myself to be all sandy and stuff. Be like, I'm totally one of you.
Well, you are all sandy because you swam through the very fine sand. So at the moment,
that's right.
You are
Brilliant.
sand colored.
Okay.
Damp sand, but yes, sand nonetheless.
So I get the sense that pretty much every single person is moving towards the direction I came from.
Does feel like
Or is that where that's where the yelling was from?
Yeah.
I think. Great. Nowhere to go but forward. I'm gonna keep quietly stealthing. Don't judge me.
All right.
You're a cow.
No, when I find you, then I'll judge you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep stealthing because I'm like I
right.
can't get bothered to be involved in that nonsense. So here we go. That's no, that's good. But that's gonna be a 19 total.
19. All right.
Yeah.
So you remain hidden. Hashtel, basically, she strides straight past you with this, and now you see him because you haven't actually seen him before. The gentleman that she was traveling with, he must stand 6'7" and be almost 5 foot shoulder to shoulder. He is a big man. Mm-hmm. And dressed in this long flowing white robes that trail out behind him like this almost magnificent stallion's tail as he strides down the corridor. He has a large falchion strapped to his side, and then just an array of daggers and other implements of death strapped to his person. Hashtal, now switched to common for whatever reason, maybe she's panicking, is demanding to know what's going on, to which he suddenly stops, turns. Your friends have infiltrated us. That is how trustworthy they are. When I find them, I will skin them and leave them in the sands of the desert so that it might consume them and bleach their bones. She then responds, I know those people. They're very difficult. They would never invade your base. That would be foolish.
What?
Well, now I know where I am.
At which point he then mutters something and continues down the corridor, and then is followed by a retinue of 8 other men running. None of them are looking specifically here because the commotion happened there, hence them moving straight past you.
Is she just staying with him, or is he moving away?
No, she stands on the spot as they march off. Then
okay. Yep.
She turns and starts walking back in your direction, back towards the room that they were originally in.
I'm going to very casually just brush my hand against her arm, be like, be quiet.
I'm rolling a lot of 1s today. Is your armor class 18?
No, she hit me. Yeah, I'm 15.
All right. Well, while you're busy brushing your hand along her shoulder, her impulse reaction is just to stab back at whatever touched her.
Makes sense.
Yeah. You take 4 points of damage, and she jabs her fingers, apparently, into your solar plexus. Pulling back, you realize that she has these nice little finger-tipped barbs. But
this is my look towards her.
What are you doing here, you idiot? Come with me, she says. She grabs your hand and pulls you into a side room.
What the fuck?
Blackston, you are falling through this stuff, and you realize it's very fine. There is no resistance whatsoever. And you've gone down 20 feet through a slick layer of bits of eel entrail, but you can almost feel Grimm all around you. This sort of...
They punch all around me.
Sneaky, pervasive feeling. Another 20 foot, and you suddenly break out of this dust pile to land in this room. Give me an acrobatics check, if you please. 15. Well, you land on your feet.
So I make a 3-point landing in my heavy armor.
Yeah. Oh, superhero jump. 1 fist down.
And kind of, is this woman still here?
So there is this rotund woman standing, looking at, and in her hand she has a bunch of dried figs that she's obviously picked up from around the floor. Standing on either side of her are 2 men who, at first glance, were there just quietly patting her on the back, saying, there, we'll get your figs back. But when suddenly you land, they're like, oh, this just got real. There actually is a thief in here, and it's not the delusional fat chick who's just been eating them. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Well, now there is someone here. Huh?
All right. So they, looking at you, they lower down. It's not a spear, because a spear is quite long. This is maybe 4 foot in total, but 2 foot of it is spear handle and 2 foot of it is spear blade. So it's a short stabbing spear. Yeah, they lower that at you. What is your response?
I kind of put the helmet on the ground and kind of lift myself up. And just saying common to them, because I don't know what they speak, and I probably don't speak their language anyways. Say like, where is he? In a loud booming voice. What happened to Griham?
One of them says, "What do you mean, Who is this Who are you and what are you doing in our complex?"
We followed a prisoner that escaped, and we sent one of our friends down here to retrieve her. Are you harboring a refugee? I have no qualms with you if you release our friend and the prisoner.
They could be coming. Come on.
You mean the foreign she-devil?
A Sajet woman, and that kind of long black hair, like this big, starts with an S.
The two of them turn and talk to each other rapidly and then look back at you. She is not Sajeti. She looked at Sajeti when she arrived, but the waters washed her clean. We saw through her evil veil of deception.
Well,
who is your other friend who is supposed to be here? Why did he steal our figs?
He didn't steal your figs. We had him tethered to upstairs so he didn't get lost in this, and I kind of point above me about to the portal above, to this sand water. But when we wanted to pull him out, you can have your figs back, you can have your crate back. I don't care for it. I just want, I don't have any qualms with you. I want him, and I want her.
We will take you to tell Nim. He will tell you what to do.
I nod.
And they sort of indicate.
I can let loose then of the, if I had with me one of the ropes.
All right. And you start following them through the corridor. Con, what are you doing?
Well, Con's a bit torn at the moment because he was about to grab a rope and go after Blackston, since otherwise there's no conceivable way for them to get back. But then he's abandoning Hashterhep to deal with two potentially very hostile individuals who are now walking up. So I'm going to pause and watch the approaching individuals and try and see what that's about.
Meanwhile, the sun is setting.
Quite right. They cover the ground fairly quickly. They're obviously very accustomed to traversing the deserts and things. And they come alongside the hull of the ship, which is not very high. You're not 30 foot off the ground. You're maybe 15. And with alacrity climb up onto the deck, unless you're going to intervene.
No, I remain non-threatening as possible, and as they get up onto deck, I go, "Good evening!" I sort of raise my hands, no weapons.
They don't even look at you. They walk straight up to Naxon and start chatting fairly casually. At one point, they laugh. Naxon laughs. Everybody laughs. You laugh. Everybody laughs. Everyone's laughing. Then suddenly they stop laughing. Naxon stops laughing.
Are you laughing?
Naxon, what's going on?
Oh, I was right. These are the Dara Hegs.
Yes.
Yes. These waters that Sir Blackstone and Sir Graham have dived into are Dara Hag territory.
Yeah.
They were just informing me that we have officially declared war on the Dara Heg peoples by invading the territory. And at the rising of the moon, they will reduce us so that even our children die.
And that's how long away?
About 2.5, maybe 3 hours, if we're lucky. But they did say that because we are foreign devils, that they will simply skin us and put us back in our strange and ill-suited clothing before staking us to the desert sands to allow the scorpions and snakes and the bats and the wolves and jackals and the pumpkin to eat us.
Right. Did you manage to, by any chance, express to them that this is all a big misunderstanding? We're not attacking anyone.
Yes. I explained that this was a misunderstanding and that we were foreigners who do not understand their culture. This point, they conceded not to skin us, but simply to stake us out into the sands to be eaten by the jackals, the bats, the scorpions, the snakes, and the giant pumpkin.
Right. Good.
Yes, so it's very funny.
Wonderful.
Yes? No.
Not really. No. There's nothing funny at all about all of this. What are the other two doing? Are they lingering or...?
They're standing there looking now not nearly as friendly or as nice as they were before.
Yeah, funny that.
When they return to tell the great Talnim, that is their leader, I believe, he will then uncertainly and without doubt enact their requirement for destroying us.
Right. So we've got until they go back, speak to their big man, and then it all kicks off.
That is right, sir. We have until they leave and make it back to their leader Talnim to prevent us from being filleted alive and eaten by the great pumpkin.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I know, it's ridiculous. That the people would still believe in such a myth even in this day and age is unbelievable.
Well, Hashtwip, they can't understand us, right?
I don't believe they speak common, no, because they are sons of camels and their mothers are infected by fleas. No response. No, definitely do not speak common, sir.
Right. Well, I'm reluctant to do violence upon these people, but it seems like we have no other option. We can't let them get back to report.
I thought you might say that, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I saw this coming. I think I killed the party. I'm sorry.
All right, back to Mutaru.
Mutaru will tell him our tales.
The jar comes up to you. A thousand apologies for bringing this topic up, but where is my ship and where are your people? Are they gone for long? Did they know only have until the setting of the sun? Or we're all dead?
Well, of course not. They've not been back yet.
No.
But let's have a look, shall we? I sort of, I'll make my way up to the deck and take my little...
Well,
my little half step.
You can now get all the way up to the upper mainsail, so that puts you easily about 35 foot above deck, plus the height of the ship.
Okay, cool. It can handle my weight?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yep, I'll... Right, Mutaru vision, activate.
Well, with your normal vision, you have a lookout over the desert, and you see nothing but sand in almost all directions except in the south, where you can see the vague outline of the Great Kush Mountains.
He did see the explosion earlier, right?
Correct. You can see about a mile and a half away this little speck that you suspect is the catamaran, with its little sails still up. But it doesn't appear to be moving. It appears to be stationary.
Well,
You can see some figures moving about on its deck, but without a spyglass, you won't see much else.
Do we have a spyglass?
Looking down, Mios is standing there holding the large spyglass that
Thank you, Mios.
All right.
Like a true pirate.
You can now see
Har fiddle
Con and
being a pirate is always me.
Hashtahep standing talking to two gentlemen dressed in white robes.
Yes, I think they're receiving the warning now.
They appear to be exactly at the point where the woman sank into the sand.
Well, it seems that they found the location all right. This is most excellent news. And it seems as though the two friendly members of that, what did you call them again?
The Dullahags?
The Dullahags, yes. They're speaking with them at the moment.
They're
laughing! They're having a grand time. They seem to be really jovial.
What are you attacking with, Con?
Fire. It's all I got to hand at this point in time.
All right. Make your attack.
enjoying themselves.
16. Ranged attack. Produce a small cluster of fire in my hand and fling it at one of the guys for 6.
The Wandera hag suddenly ignites in flame and starts flailing around on deck, Mutaru, looking like he's in big trouble. Oh, wow.
Never mind!
At which point, Naxun pulls out this curved blade and decapitates his companion. I got a 20 and an 18.
Oh my god.
The body falls to the deck, spraying out blood, whilst the other one's on fire, still busy flailing around.
If all of you had our ballistas.
I then reach for the nearest blunt force instrument to try and put the burning one out of his misery as quickly as possible.
You then watch as Khan and Naxun beat and bludgeon to death the one that was on fire. I'm not going to make you roll because he didn't expect to be put on fire.
I'm sorry.
Chaotic
politics.
He's just like crying.
Politics. It was politics that killed you, not my club.
Dajar.
Yes.
Speaking purely hypothetical, what would it be in the Dalahad culture if one were to say, hypothetically speaking, of course, decapitate and set aflame members of the tribe?
Why would they want to marry women?
No. As in, to be set alight on fire. Fire. El fuego.
Yeah.
Burning.
Yeah, they killed them, yes?
Oh, well, yes. If, say, for example, that one of the members who are currently aboard your catamaran brutally maimed and bludgeoned a member of the Dalahad to death.
Hang on, but hypothetical, of course.
Hypothetically speaking.
Well, he is now married to the looser's wife and inherits the children, the wealth, the camels, and the tent that this individual owned.
Oh, well, I guess Mazel Tov, Khan. Alright.
Well, of course, there is also the declaration of eternal war for at least 1,000 sons.
1,000 sons. As in, like, sons as in, like, or sons as in, because that one's longer.
No. It is 1,000 passages of the sun through its cycle. So, 1,000 years. Yes, that is right. So it is eternal warfare between the two families for 1,000 years. Now, moving forward. Once the wife and children have been handed over, of course, this will be done in the shadow of a camel at noon.
Yeah, well, I guess we gotta go prepare for a wedding. Someone fetch me Lock and Stoke. I climb down.
All right, Graham, back to you. Why did you come back here? Are you crazy?
I didn't know this was a whole fort.
Where do you think I was going to escape to?
No, I don't know. I believed that you could hide yourself within the sand, but no. The cow was able to see you run off into your little hideout, and I can't just say, well, let's leave her alone. No, I had to follow you. I was hoping I would find nothing but eels, but now I just found you. You have to hide yourself.
You can just go back to wherever it is that you came from and say that you didn't find anything. How stupid are you? You don't have to come inside the middle of this place and then set off an alarm.
Do you really think I can go back at this point where there's nothing but chaos back there? I don't even know what they're doing to my associate.
You came with others?
I don't know, because all I hear is a baloo. I think all they found was probably the crate that was tied to the rope, because I couldn't go much further than 30 feet.
Why did you go more than 30 feet?
I wanted to hear what you were saying. I couldn't help it. I have to give them something juicy. because otherwise I'm gonna look like a traitor.
All right, look, I'll stab you in the stomach so it'll look like you had a fight with me. Then you can go back
I
to
already did that, and you don't think this really worked? I'm already hurting. You just have to disappear. I'm gonna have to do another stupid thing once again.
Do you know what
I'm gonna
I
have
had
to
to
run
promise
back
to the leader of this bunch of camel-bashing buggers? I had to promise to help them invade a small little town that apparently irritated them about 500 years ago so that they wouldn't attack the Windswift. I was giving you the opportunity to escape. Now all of that's gone up in smoke.
I wish I had some kind of detail that would work. Fine, no, I'm gonna have to run back. I am gonna have to go back there so we can escape, and that way they forget about you.
You seriously
What's
think
your
they're gonna
name
forget
anyway?
about me?
Just name.
What name?
What is your bloody name?
You might want to you might want to join the Drax Drakari, but I'm not going to give you my real name. I'm not an idiot, unlike some people.
What is a name? Something for me to remember at least.
Tell them that you met Saras. That's my name, Saras Jenna.
Sure, works for me. I'm gonna have to leave. I wish I could leave some kind of
don't
contact.
let Telneem catch you, because if he does, he's on the warpath as we speak.
Well, he apparently already is on a warpath.
Well,
we don't have nearly enough men to handle
everything
this.
and everyone. I think they'd stab the desert if they could.
How many people are there in this sand fort?
I don't know. I counted about 120, give or take.
All right. Do you have any healing potions? Anything? Do you have anything?
I got here about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, what, you didn't steal one of the reserves?
They don't just have them lying around. These people eat each other when they run out of food.
Okay, good point. Well, fine. Go. You're going to have to go and hide yourself again, and I'm going to have to go and try to escape. This has been the best day ever. Oh, could you tell I'm sarcastic, by the way? Do you really think this whole Drax Rakari thing is going to help you in the end? I feel like it's becoming more of a negative thing. I feel like it's not actually a good bet for you at this point.
You're more of a negative thing than anything else. You refused to die when we boarded you. Then, when you let me out, you then come back and capture me. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Would you want me to kill you?
Well,
would you refuse to die? Oh, there it is. You want to live as well. Yes.
Fine. You go make your little friends go away. I will try to convince Telneem not to converge on the Windswift, but you better make sure that your ship is gone before nightfall.
Done. That'll be the best bet. If I have to, I'll start fire somewhere. Good luck. And I'll start running off, trying to kind of stealth again in that direction.
Sure. Back to you, Blackston. You are following the two spear-wielding men.
Nope, rolled natural one. I'm just that upset.
They lead you into a chamber where there are a great many men and women assembled, and they're all busy tying bandages around their arms and inserting knives into the bandages, strapping up. It looks like everyone is basically getting ready for war. Mm-hmm. As you're led into the room, they start to part to give you a corridor that leads through these people. The sandy smell has now been replaced with what can best be described as wet camel crotch aroma. It is this pungent, permeating, humid thing that seems to try and get into everywhere it can on you. And you realize this room is illuminated, not like the rest, which was glowing rock, but by large jars of tallow, some kind of fat, which is busy burning very, very quietly.
Camel fat.
Yes. leading you through this corridor, the guards stop on either side, flanking you, and sitting on this very simple wooden throne, although that gives it too much importance, is this very large man. 6'7", broad shoulders, scars across his face, almost looking like a cat has gone ballistic one night. He stands, looks at you, looks at the two guards, points at the one guard, and says something. That guard immediately drops to his knees and starts to beg and plead until someone steps up behind him and just plunges one of those stabbing spears through the back of his neck, killing him instantly. He pulls it out. The guy drops over to the side. I killed that man for him bringing you to me and not stabbing you immediately. I am tired of foreigners invading my desert. Why are you here?
I am here because of two reasons. Two people that invaded your home shortly before I arrived. I do not bring invasion or ill will to your ilk. I am just here to retrieve these invaders and bring them to their justice.
Give me a diplomacy check. You have advantage on that.
Persuasion,
you mean?
Persuasion, yeah.
So I rolled a 21 and 20.
Nice!
Yeah.
You are not invading us. You are here to retrieve the invaders.
That is true.
Then you are my ally.
I wish to be.
We are at war with the city of Kos and cannot afford another front opening up. I accept your alliance. When we find the two invaders and you have dispatched them as a symbol of your fealty to this alliance, you may join us in besieging the city of Kos, if you so please.
I, too, am not interested in another front, another war. They only bring attrition and cruelty. I promise you, if I find these two refugees, or if you bring me those two refugees, I will cut the woman's tongue, for she only spits guile and evil. And I will take the man and break his nose for his constant stupidity.
Then I will take the remains of the woman who does not speak any further, and I will leave her with her chest exposed to the morning sun, so that the great god of the vultures might descend and eat out her black heart. As for the man, I like your thinking. We will break his knees and leave him 10 miles from an oasis. If he survives the journey, the gods may grant him mercy.
I think I have a better idea for the man. I am sure you are aware of our vessel that recently broke down in the desert above.
The silver-tongued, venom-speaking snake spoke on your behalf, preventing us from attacking it straight away. It was only later that we learned of her duplicitous nature and had changed our plans. I am pleased.
Well,
you are now an ally. You will not die.
How about this? We take this man and drag him through the sands behind our ship as punishment.
His eyes light up with revelation of a new form of desiccating and destroying a body by dragging it through the sand. I am pleased we are allies. I like the way you think. It will be a spectacle. A great trail of his will light up a red path of death.
And to consummate our alliance, We will exchange
Wives.
water. I'm afraid we don't have any wives with us on our vessel. How about drink and eat and food, as they are the nourishment of the people?
I accept your proposal. Let it be known the Darahags and the crew of the Windswift are now in alliance. You are to treat them as you would treat one another. And they are to do the same.
And look next to me to the dead god.
It's at that point, Grim, with your roll of a natural 1, that you stealth into the room. And by stealth into the room, I mean you are moving stealthily along the wall, and you slip into this room full of people in Blackston.
I'm gonna quickly be like,
that is the one! That
Blackston!
is the thief!
No thief.
I
It was
see him
simple
too.
mistake.
Yes, everybody sees him.
Can I try to do a quick lunge and just like try to punch him as strong as I can in the face?
Oh, this is probably going to make me unconscious.
Make your attack.
Okay, so this is unarmored, weapon attack. Right?
Correct.
What you get?
25
Oh, that definitely hits.
That's a hit. Do your damage, 1d3.
plus strength.
Yep.
Really?
9 points. Sorry, D3. That's 3 plus 4, so 7.
I'm unconscious.
Wah! His head snaps back, blood sprays out in all directions. There's applause from the men around him. The leader shouts out something in Sajeti, looks over at you. You take him to your ship. I will hunt down the serpent and enact justice upon her. I will bring her to your vessel when we find her.
I nod. And just like look at him like, I don't know where the exit is.
He points to a guard, waves his fingers, and the guard comes over. He says something. The guard picks up Graham on one shoulder. And
I would try to pick him up on one shoulder.
Oh, I see. Well, then that's fine. He lets you do that, and then he motions for you to follow him. Con.
And while I do, I actually use my last few hit points and my lay on hands to just like stabilize him.
Okay. I'm going to stay perfectly still. Like I'm just like getting. I'm like, oh, this is not a good time to be moving.
No. But
So
your
I'll
face feels like someone has hit it really hard. And you can feel that uncomfortable warmth of blood.
The nice thing. You are hanging over my shoulder, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So your head is upside down.
Yes.
Your nose is bleeding. The holes are on the upper part now, so the blood. Okay.
It's
Go
a
on.
nasty mess of coppering, tasting bile.
Yeah, so as like my eyes like slowly opens, like I see like I'm being carried away. I'm like, trying to like stay like if I'm knocked out.
Con.
Standing over the corpses of the recently dispatched. Shit. Drop blunt force instrument on deck. Fuck, we're going to have to cover this up now. Oh, gods.
I'll fetch a blanket, sir.
Yes, wrap the bodies.
Right.
I look over the side. Is there any sign of anything happening?
Nope. Still waters. Again, if you didn't know that it was liquid, you would jump out and expect to land on it without a problem.
There's no way they're coming back this way, are they? Not without a rope.
As he's rolling the burnt, crispy body into the blanket. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't know how the Darahags get in and out of that stuff, but I would imagine the rope or a camel or a stairs, probably, he says as he pulls an arm and puts it down and lifts up.
We've got to get back to the Windswift.
What do I do with the bodies?
I'll deal with the bodies. You get us back to the Windswift. Quickly.
He drops the body.
What I want to do is wrap them up in whatever blankets or spare sail or whatever I can find.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Just hide them off the catamaran, and then when they find it, the Rahaki finally meet with our trader.
Bind them up as tightly and as well as I can, and stash them as out of sight as possible until I can figure out a better plan for them.
You could turn to a bear and eat them.
This little voice whispers, you're like,
I'm out of wild shape.
Turn into a bear and eat them.
So the catamaran slowly starts to bank around, and then she starts to zip back towards the Windswift. The Windswift, Mutaru, what are you doing now? The ship is definitely now heading towards you.
I'm okay. I got this. I'm like, wow. You know, you know, the secret part of Mutaru wants to secretly go up to you guys and say, "See, being stupid's not easy." Okay. So Mutaru has called the Lock and Stokes, and I know that we're currently in the process of repairs and trying to get everything ready. I obviously want to know, how long has it been since I spoke to them last? Like, I don't imagine that long.
10, maybe 15 minutes.
Okay, and I can see the catamaran heading back our way?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I tell some of the other crew to pass on the message to, you know, do the repairs as swiftly as possible for the keel before, you know, sort of sorting back out. Expecting them to arrive, I inform Dajar of you know, obviously their return. I also, so in terms of like how it's being repaired, are they currently on the ground looking up at it, or are they
on the ground busy putting in braces and clamps and wooden struts and things?
All right, I'll basically try and rally the crew to prepare for takeoff, basically. Just everyone, you know, please, you know, man your stations, make sure that everything is prepared. Once we have been given the signal by the engineering crew, we will be taking off promptly. So, again, man your stations and be on standby, awaiting orders. This is Captain Mutaru.
All right, and they will rally to that and work as hard and as fast as they possibly can. Blackston and Graham, well, yes, you are escorted through this honeycomb. It's a very, very vast complex, but a lot of it you can see is actually in disarray or disrepaired, hasn't been handled. Rooms have been filled in with sand just by not being maintained very well. And they get to a point where you step out into this large sandy chamber, and on the right-hand side, you can see these two gigantic statues. Just the heads are sticking out of the sand. The bodies are buried into the floor and continue further. And you get a sense that there is a structure that these things are attached to and in front of.
So this goes deeper, but
yeah,
at least in the past.
Correct. It has almost a tomb-like feel to it. But it also serves as a large chamber in which you can see on the one side, the one wall, is incised into the actual stonework, is a staircase which leads up to a rather large wooden panel. They lead you up those stairs, they push open the panel, and the light of the desert floods into the room.
So while I move up, I take a look. Basically, if it's like, it doesn't matter. Like my left or my right shoulder is to a wall, basically, right? Moving up the wall, I assume this is also sandstone, being in like sand desert, right? I would imagine that if this is a tomb that they kind of repurposed, that there would be like some carvings or some scripture, whatever, on the walls. Do I get the feeling that this is like an old kingdom that they are the remnants of, or is this a repurposed like tomb of past kings, maybe?
Give me a history check.
Proficient in those. 15.
So you are quite right, and as you start to take in the lay of this space, you realize that these stairs are a lot newer than those statues down there. And as you're looking, you realize that there is a very strong symbol carved onto a lintel that sits across the shoulders of those two statues. The one is The statue is a crocodile-headed creature. The other is a human warrior with quite a physique. And the symbol that's carved onto the lintel that sits across both of them, it's the symbol of Brax. Now, looking at the way that this whole thing is designed, it looks as if the catacombs are not actually part, or the honeycombed rooms that they were in, is not actually part of that temple or tomb. It's actually, they sort of on the side of. So the tomb was probably buried under sand, possibly millennia ago, before even the time of the dragons. They found this space, and instead of going into the tomb, they went next to the tomb and carved out their little gaps. Or it could have been where the workers who built the tomb stayed. Nonetheless, it feels as if that's very different to what is buried under the sand there.
Okay.
You eventually get to the top, the sandy door is opened up, and the light of the desert floods across and into that chamber, spilling out and bringing breath of fresh air. You didn't realize just how stale the air was down there. Graham, you can feel the cool air of the afternoon, which is now starting to set in, wash over your features. You didn't realize just how caked you are in old dried eel blood and dust and sand, and now your own blood on top of that. It's a really uncomfortable operation when you move. Everything is sandy.
Definitely try not to.
Correct.
Because feigning the knocked out thing. Right. The guard's still there with us, right?
Yeah.
He's leading the way.
Correct. And he leads you to this. It's a camp that's been made out of various large tents and things. But the way that it's been built into a depression amongst the dunes. So if you were on the dunes, you wouldn't even see this place. But standing in a large penned-off area underneath one of these large tents is a herd of camels. And the guard takes you to one of the camel tenders. It's a young boy who obviously looks after the camels, gives them some instruction, and the boy brings forward 3 camels, which then all promptly grunt and groan and bellow as they get down onto their elbows and then onto their knees finally, so that you can climb up onto them.
I kind of put him over one of the humps and I kind of get in between.
All right, you climb up onto the saddle. It's similar to a horse's saddle, but it also does feel like they have designed a very sharp tented wooden frame that is slowly going to cut you in half as this beast starts to move forward. But it gets up and gets up to its feet, and then very slowly starts moving off in a direction which you think or hope is in the way of the Windswift. The catamaran comes to a sculling, skidding halt next to the Windswift, which you can now see is raised up 5 feet, and Dajar is standing there with this great big white grin across his face, which immediately drops when he realizes that there's a bank of dust that's going to wash over him. But then stepping out of it like this specter of joy, he comes up to his ship. Oh, you are still in one piece. I'm so happy to see you. Oh, my beautiful catamaran. You have brought her back to me. Thank you, gentlemen, 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Now, tell me, is any one of you named Blackstone?
No.
No.
Who are you?
I'm the Jar, the trader.
Oh, yes, that's right. It's been an eventful day.
Yes.
What do you want with Blackstone?
There is a paper he must sign. Mutaru said it was all good and above the border, and it was going to be done. Yes?
1 minute. I sort of put my hand in his face and walk past him. I whistle up the nearest few sort of crew members I can find and direct them to immediately take my wrapped bundles of sorrow and stash them in the cargo hold for the time being.
Oh. In the hold, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Chef.
They very quietly, solemnly walk to the Windswift, put the bodies onto a deck, which gets winched up so that it's unparalleled with the upper deck of the Windswift, and then they move them across.
Make sure they're out of sight.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Then I get on board the Windswift.
Right.
Where are the Jock and Stokes?
Mios comes running forward. Hello.
Well done, Jock and Stoke.
Oh no,
well
Jock and Stoke's nowhere near you. This is Mios is the cabin boy.
Oh, sorry. Right.
The young boy you rescued.
I beg your pardon.
Yes. They're busy fixing the keel lines, sir, so they're unavailable at the moment. Please don't talk to them.
The keel line? What's wrong with the keel line? Is the keel damaged?
No.
Well, we're floating at least. Where's Mutaru?
Yes. Oh, yes. Captain Mutaru is in the ward room, sir.
Right, very good. Thank you, Mios. I head for Mutaru.
All right, you head for Mutaru. Mutaru, you are in the ward office. Con walks in, looking...
Yep, prior to Con walking in,
right.
Mutaru is basically sitting there trying to amp himself up for several different things at this point. As soon as Con walks in, Mutaru stands up and says, Con! Oh, it's good to see you.
Sonny,
Where are the others?
says a voice from behind a jar is pushing himself into the room. I am just here to remind you that there is that contract...
Blackston! It's so good to see you. And I close the door.
But I thought you said it wasn't Blackston.
I know, I point behind the jar so he can...
Oh, behind...
So, yeah, just point behind
You know what?
the jar,
You
and
know
then
what?
I close the door while he's...
It doesn't matter. I go straight for the cabinet where I know I've stashed a bottle of something quite strong.
Right.
Solid glass of that, down that, refill it, sit down.
Mutaru sort of goes over and sits next to him. Doesn't really say anything for a few moments, and then he says, Con, where are Grimm and Blackston?
Bloody good question, Mutaru. Don't know. No idea. They both dived into a hole in the sand and disappeared, and then I had to kill 2 of the Nocals in order to keep this shit quiet. Because apparently
yes.
we've invaded their territory and they are now going to declare war on us.
Oh yes, no, I was witness to that. On the other hand, I'm sure there's the halls of the Deadlands are
My best
wrought with the
guess.
screams of your fallen adversaries.
That's not the point, Mutaru. We just murdered 2 people to hush up the fact that another 2 of our party have invaded their territory.
Yes,
My
on
best
that
guess
note,
is that Grimm and Blackston are wandering around in some subterranean stronghold.
Well, I've got some good news and some bad news regarding, well, pretty much everything that's going on. What would you like to hear first?
Go on then. Give me the bad news.
Alright, well, the bad news is that according to Ja, my very loud and poignant friend, we have 1,000 years of unending rivalry and war to look forward to with the Dalarai, I think, or the Demakai, or the whatever they call themselves.
The Draenei.
Yes, something. Yeah, I can almost hear Blackston trying to correct me. Yes, so there is that, and obviously our friends are head deep in their territory with no means of communication or method of contacting us in order to try and mount any form of valid rescue. Oh, and obviously the ship is almost is been totaled, but on the bright side there's a little bit of hope there because it is floating at least.
All I can think of is we take the Windy back to where this entrance is. I don't know.
Well,
all I know is that we may have brought a delay since the 2 messengers are dead.
Which brings me to the good news. Would you like to hear the good news? I'm looking forward to telling you this.
What's that?
There's going to be a wedding.
Sorry? A wedding?
Yes, well, according to Ja, the death of a member of their tribe results in the, let's say, acquisition of one's spouses. And I was pretty sure that, well, I mean, it's not the traditional sense, but, traditions being what they are, I believe you're a married man.
I am not. No.
I'll pour an extra drink for Con and one for myself, and I'll look at him and I'll go, Mazel tov.
You're rather missing the point. They must not find out that we killed their 2 men. I've stashed the bodies so that we can dispose of them later at an appropriate time.
You know, Con, I like this side of you, but I never heard...
If I get my hands on Graham, I'm going to throttle him.
Wait in line.
Alright, well look, it's just the 2 of us for now, so we need to make a decision. We need to figure out how we can go and help the two of them, and I think... Honestly, oh, right, I forgot to mention, we may not have ballistas.
What?
There's that. Yeah. Let's just say that the ship was in need of some dire repairs, and it was a choice of either floating or shooting. Sadly, not both. So, even if we were to, say, drag the Windy across to them, unless we intended to maybe, well, it's hobbling at the moment, Con. I don't know if you've noticed, but this is the maximum flight height of the Windswift currently.
Milos said something about the keel.
Yeah, no, it's all right. The Lock and Stokes are fine engineers, and they've assured me that we'll be flying and up in the air in a matter of time. I've already got the crew manning their stations in preparation for launch. But Con, listen, we need to talk. Look, how long have we known each other?
4 years or something.
Yes. And it's been an amazing 4 years. We've traveled across this wide and expansive world, all aboard this beautiful and beloved vessel.
Mm-hmm.
It is more than just a ship. It's a home. You know, it is a place that's as much a part of us and our families as any one of the other members of the crew.
Yes, I suppose so.
Yes, and just as potentially we might be losing Graham and Blackston. Well, I mean, let me just say this: we must be prepared for whatever happens, so that we can continue to move forward. Yes.
I think I know where you're going with this, Motaro, but I'm sure, knowing our 2 compatriots, that this is not the last we have heard or seen of them. The question is, do we stay put and wait for them to show up? Do we go back to the hole in the desert where they disappeared? I don't know.
Mutaro sort of chokes on his words because he realizes that he hasn't communicated well as per the norm. And he goes, yes, I'm sure they'll be fine. Well, if they disappeared under the sand, the best thing to do for now is perhaps wait until perhaps an hour before the deadline. We have until the sun sets and the moon rises to move the Windswift. And I don't know about you, but I didn't see them flying any ships. So, I mean, that'll give us plenty of time to be able to make the move. They'll have until then, but any longer, and I fear that the wrath of these people will be swift, violent, and may end in a massacre that will see not only the death of our friends, but some very innocent crew members as well.
As soon as possible.
Riding their camels like the grand, majestic Lawrences of the proverbial Arabias, although in this case it would be Blackston of the Aki Sedab. Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Our intrepid Blackston returns with the bloody, bleeding body of Graham.
Yeah, so the guard's with us or no?
No guard is with you, it's just the young kid who's leading the camels.
Okay. I found her.
Oh! It's you again.
Oh, you should stop doing that. I found her. She's down there. She's in cohorts with that team Talim or whatever. Shut up. What?
The young kid sort of gives you a look around, but it's the look of I am just told to take you to this place, and I don't know who you are or what you're doing, and I quite frankly don't want to be involved. And he twitches with his little switch, the camels, and they start to move a little bit faster. And you've journeyed 20 minutes or so, with this constant rocking backwards and forwards of this.
Camels are like this, like sideways, right?
Yes,
because they go like this, right?
There's this weird rocking, and your knees feel as if they're somewhere above your head by the time you crest a dune and look down, and you can see the Windy hovering about 5 foot above the ground.
I'm like laying on its side, so I'm just like, my ribs.
Yes. Your ribs, and you are convinced that you have felt 1,000 fleas from the back of a camel actually infest your armor. You now know what that curse actually feels like.
Just like, I hate my life. I hate everything.
Why? Yes. The two of you are interrupted by a knock. Lieutenant Ty informs you that there is an approaching caravan, but that it looks as if Blackston is riding a camel with the dead body of Graham attached to it.
Graham!
Okay, that's a good place.
And I'll say, don't tell Dajar. And I'll
don't tell Dajar.
I'm awfully sorry. He's on his vessel, sir.
Good, excellent. Keep him there.
All right.
Well, don't keep him there. Just make sure he's not here. Don't actually keep him on there. Just yes. Until we can talk to Blackston and explain things.
All right. You head out.
Yes.
Connor, you staying drinking?
No, if this is all unfolding, I will be on deck.
All right.
Fine, the two.
I'll very, very quickly as we walk out.
Watching. Well, is he dead?
As we walk out, right? Mutaro walks out. Con walks out. Mutaro runs back in, pours himself another shot, takes the shot, walks back out. It's been a really, really long day.
Yeah.
In response to Con, like, almost.
He can't hear you yet, right? Can
Yeah,
he?
well,
I thought they were there.
He's flying and we're down here, right?
Correct. The camels
okay.
come to a stop, and the young boy hops down. The camels all grind and grumble like old men as they get back down onto their elbows so that you can then climb off of them.
I kind of give the kid a silver.
He nods, runs his hands over his ears, crosses his chest, and then climbs back up onto his camel. He's got the ropes of the other two, turns the thing around, switches 4 times, and stops dead because Dajar is standing in front of the camel with his hand like this. Dajar walks around to the side, his grin wider than you've seen in a while. There's an exchange. Dajar hands up it looks like a paper bag of something and takes the coin out of the kid's hand and walks away, putting the coin in his pocket. And the boy rides off with the packet of whatever it is that he's just been swindled out into buying.
I fall off the camel.
You lied.
Yeah, no, I put you off the camel and kind of you have 5 hit points right now. By the way, I healed you for 5.
Oh, okay. I just put myself at 1 for the moment, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
5.
Just. And I kind of say like, quick, we need to get on board of the ship. Tell the others and get out of your armor.
1,000 apologies. Are you Blackston?
We took his ship, didn't we?
That you are giving him your darkest look. And the more you look at him, the more he smiles at you, and you can almost see this energy between the two of them clashing in the middle and crackling, the negative versus the positive.
This is really disgusting.
And then suddenly the positive starts to get just a little bit inside, and he keeps walking forward. I've got the greatest of news for you, sir. You have just got a whole lot of stuff for free.
Great, thank you. And I take Graham and kind of move him past by, and I actually shoulder check him out of. You said like he is a live person,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Just like with big like of ropes.
That's right.
Yeah. So I just like use my heavy armor. I'm not heavy myself, right? But in armor,
Yes.
I would assume my way. And I just like shoulder check him out of the way and kind of ignoring him and kind of carrying.
Oh, so injured. Way more important.
He shouts up, Mutaro, you have the note. Yes, you have the note. Yes. note, sign the note, and then I will be on my way. Yes.
I don't know what the hell it is, but don't let him sign that note, Blackston.
A plank is lowered for...
First, I saved your life. Then...
What, then you kill me?
The two of them get brought up onto deck. Con, it doesn't take much for you to see that Grimm's in a bad way.
Sees, like, he saw him kind of... I kind of pull Grimm on his back and quickly start doing... start undoing the nooses and the... Right, from his armor. I'm starting to getting him out of his armor, and one of the crewmates that is on board.
Yes.
I tell him to to ready a rope, and bind it to the back of the ship.
Yeah.
All right.
You better put this one in sick. Take this one to Medbay. I'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what are you doing? What's going on?
Medbay, go. I'm not talking to you.
I got
right
this.
now.
No, put me down. Let go.
All right, so you get dragged off to Medbay.
And Con, you're still with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell you...
What happened down there, Blackston?
We are now allies of the Drahaki. I don't know how they're called as well. I know there's an H in there somewhere. Drahaki.
Well, that's amazing.
They are gonna find the prisoner for us and bring her to us here. And we are to execute Griham, which I don't intend to do. I intend to fool them by dragging him behind our ship through the desert sands. That's why I need his armor.
Don't do it, Con.
It's funny how things happen.
So my armor was taken off, right? Is that what was happening?
Yeah,
I just wanted to
yeah,
check. Okay.
Really?
And I start to get others to kind of get film material to actually kind of assume a body, just like.
I'm holding on to my weapons. You'll have to kill me for that, and I know I'm pretty close.
Again?
Yes. It's like,
you should probably know that we have 2 corpses aboard. I had to kill 2 of their men. You see, after you 2 went back down there, they helpfully came over and told us that because you 2 had gone down there, we were now at war. And they were going to go back and report your invasion, and this would kick off proceedings, as it were. So that left Naxon and I in a sticky situation, as you can well imagine. And now, hello, you're back, and you've made friends with them. I need a drink.
You killed them for what? They're camel-loving, sand-eating savages.
Yes, and we have 2
Don't
of
believe
them
a word they
wrapped
say
up in the
about
hold now.
You need to get them at the points where you can speak to these people. Get them at their honor, give them what they want, and they change their minds as the wind in the deserts.
Mm-hmm.
Killed people. Anyways, we'll need to finish this. You know more about autonomy. I need to get down there again. I have something personal to do.
You have something...
And also, get out the ale, get out the wine, and get some cheeses and some of our dried meats. We're gonna make an exchange when the Drahaki arrive here at our boat, and keep Griham out of sight.
Oh, don't worry. I can do that.
And don't treat his nose. He's earned that.
Blackston, how can you say such a thing? I am a doctor, after all, I say as I leave the room.
You are a murderer in my books.
All right, so...
The door slams very pointedly.
Everybody's a little bit cranky at this point.
Mutaru's not. Mutaru's like, everyone's back! I don't have to be responsible!
please throw me off the ship.
All right, so
you can take place for your dummy if you want.
Let's do some good.
All right, so Con and Graham, you two will be in the sick bay,
Simple plan.
tending to wounds. Mutara, once you've left Graham there, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go check on the repairs,
Right.
and literally as soon as they are done.
No, I will grab your arm before you leave. What did you tell that traitor? Did you sign anything? Did you sign anything?
There's like cough up like blood on you.
You're hallucinating. Here, just I sort of start wiping his forehead from like sweat. I clean up the blood from his face.
Don't sign anything.
It's okay. No, calm down. It's fine. You're delirious. I get some like I get this thing and I like sort of dip it in some water and I sort of squeeze it onto his head, and I say, shh.
I'm going
okay.
to find her. I will kill her.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
She took my home.
Yes.
She killed my
who's
family.
a vicious hunter?
She took everything. She took my title. She took my home. She took everything. And I will constantly keep saying this back and forth.
Do we have like a little red button that we use to call Con? Is there like a thing I can be like,
Right now, I'm pressing the
yeah,
button.
just
Right
press the button. I am pressing the button. I am not qualified. Whatever this is, I'm not qualified for it.
All right, so Con, yes, you will arrive shortly because you didn't have a very long conversation with Blackson.
Yeah. Then I'll head over.
Delirious.
I'll head over to the thingy. And I'll head over to the engineers.
All right, you are immediately accosted by Dajar. I'm so sorry to bother you. I really want to get on my way, and I just need that paper signed. It is simple endorsement. It's nothing great. I will use it in villages you will never even visit.
Oh, yes. Well, of course. Where are my manners? Yeah, I have it right here.
Good. Thank you.
It's a big, slimy, wet, blood-soaked, sand-soaked rag at this point.
That's fine. I still can use it. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
Ooh. It was what I used to, like, do the whole...
It's fine. You know what? I'll make another one. It's not too bad. It's paper, yeah?
Do you need a pen?
No. Keep gift. Remember me, Dajar, your greatest trader of all time. Blackson, what are you're busy finishing making this maquette, this body
dummy, basically. Yeah, exactly.
Lieutenant Ty is helping you. Sir, I don't understand what you are trying to do. You need to drag a body behind the ship?
These people are savages.
Oh, I have no doubt about that.
To ease the situation, I had to assume their posturing. They will help us to find our escapee. They let me get Grimm out of their sand hole. For that, Grimm and the escapee must pay a price, though. Grimm will be pulled behind our ship, which... This is Grimm. Don't you see his likeness in this?
Far be it for me to say no, sir, but I've been at a keel hauling before, or a naval one anyway, and usually there's a lot of blood. I don't think this is going to leak very much. I could ask Hurricane if he's got some blood
meat?
Sausages or something, but most of
That's a
those
good idea.
will have been drained.
Then mix it with some wine. Speak to our cook to see what he can bring us. Maybe there is something left that just looks like it when it gets into the sand. I mean, it's
All right, sir, don't worry. We'll get it sorted out. It's good to have you back on the ship, by the way. We might need to have a bit of a conversation about Captain Mutaru's leadership style. He upset the gnomes quite a lot this afternoon.
Yes, but not today. There are other problems that are much more important right now.
Understood, sir.
And I kind of look at her intently and say, like, and we need to deal with these problems first. And I understand that he can be quite boisterous and overbearing at times.
Yes, of course, sir. I'll organize your bloody mess. And with that, we will catch up with all of you again next week to see whether this bloody mess can be sorted out or whether it's all just going to go to the camels. Who knows? I certainly don't. Anyway, so please let us know what you think of this new format of a 2-hour show and whether it works for you or not. Now, to find out if it works for the rest of our players, as per usual, we will still do our review system thereafter each episode because people seem to like that. And again, leave us your comments below as to whether you actually watch them or whether you cut off at this point. Of course, if you have already cut off at this point, you won't have heard that part of the message. So, nonetheless, do what you need to do to let us know what you think about the review session. So without further ado, let's move straight on to review. The Dice of Destiny says that it is once again Mutaru that we're going to start with. So, Michael, what did you think of this new 2-hour format, and what did you think of today's episode?
Well, yeah, that's a pretty loaded question. So, I mean, first of all, as always, I enjoyed these games. I love hanging out with you guys. You guys are awesome and amazing, and you know, you keep me laughing, you keep me engaged. Like, the one thing I always look at when I play any game is how much dead time is there. Like, how much time am I spent, like, going, what's going on? You know, but I'm always engaged. I'm always captivated, and I love it. Love playing with you guys. So the 2-hour format thing for me is just, yeah, it's awesome. You know, I'm enjoying it because I get to spend more time with the people I love gaming with. And today's episode was, I mean, honestly, it's been very, very interesting for Mutaru because obviously we have come to know and love Mutaru for his big and his big reckless, almost borderline suicidal tendencies and things like that, and it's been very interesting. Like initially being left behind from the catamaran, I was sitting there. You know, I'll admit, as a player, there was a little bit of a stupid bastard. I'll show them. I'll be a good captain, and then they'll come back, and then they'll be like,
I hear when I come back.
Right? Oh my god! Yeah. When she said that, I was like, I thought I did an amazing job. The ship is flying. Everyone's ready to go. No one is dead. Right? Okay. I thought, and then she says that, I was like, oh, she's clearly a Blackston groupie, right? And I was like, fine, whatever, I didn't like you anyway. No, that was
Michael, your Australian is coming out there right now.
So, no, I actually really enjoyed this because, the thing is, Mutaru has two sides to him. Obviously, there's the big, brash, combat side of him, but he's also a really emotional character. He wears his feelings on his sleeves and stuff like that, and as Thingo was saying, you know, it's like he's got a very unique style of captaining. You know, he's not pragmatic, he's not logical. For him, he's about inspiring people, and that means anything at all. And yeah, there was just so many jam-packed moments in today's episode where I just got a chance to really kind of have those, you know, almost like sinking moments where, you know, even I as a player, like talking to the gnomes, I was like, oh my god, I really wanted to do this too, and I felt so bad about it because, like, you know, unlike the rest of the ship, which you can replace and you can patch, the keel, you know, again, shipmaking 101, the keel is something that cannot be replaced without replacing the whole ship. So if there's a crack or any kind of damage in it, from that point on is the downward spiral. It's like the first point in which the ship sort of starts to come to the end of its life. So Mutaru was just so, like, full of, like, kind of this sadness because he didn't understand how to fix it. He didn't understand what was wrong, but he knew that this thing being broken is the worst thing in the world. And, you know, you know, he really wanted to kind of get the gnomes to that point where they're like, you need to fix this, you need to do that. So, yeah. Oh, so good. Like, so cathartic, you know, today's episode for me.
Was an interesting one. I just wonder how different it would have been if Mutaru had been on that catamaran. whether or not the whole party would have gone in, guns blazing, as it were, into that sand desert hive or not, I don't know. And I shudder to think what would have happened if that had actually been the case. It would be very interesting, isn't it?
And I actually had this the most peaceful encounter with these people.
You did.
Next to, like even Blackston, knocked out Graham in the middle of the throne room.
I had the most peaceful with these people.
No, yeah, and it's like these guys are like violent and they're vicious, and I'm like, hello, thank you, okay, thank you for the warning, farewell. Do you want a cup of tea? No, okay, bye. Like it was good. And then Con happened.
Oh God, Con happened. Oh yes. So let's go there. Con, what happened?
Oh dear, never leave Con alone. No, what is that? That was weird.
Oh, it must be the alarm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, purely, it's difficult. It was definitely a session of, first of all, on the format, that was great, because we're, once again, when you're like, and that's all for this episode, you're, oh, really? Oh, gosh, is that the time? I thought we were only like an hour in, and we still had another hour to go, at least. So, all good on that front. In terms of the session, well, yes, Con's decision-making processes, these two have shown up and told us that we're at war because we've invaded them. So from that point on, it's just downhill, really.
Right. Right.
And whilst he was absolutely torn by the decision, ultimately he's weighing the idea that these two go away, and then very possibly the whole Windswift gets wiped out right there and there, because these guys, it's their home territory. There's going to be lots of them. I have no idea what's happened to Blackston and Graham. They could be dead for all I know. There's no communication with the Windswift. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's going to die.
Right.
So unfortunately, it was these two unfortunate men, these largely blameless individuals, were casualties of that process.
That's right.
Interesting. And Con is not happy at all about that.
No, but as a GM, I'm very happy, because you now have a lot of evidence that you've left on board the ship as well, which I will certainly... well, we'll see what happens with that, won't we? Now,
I intend to dispose of them at the earliest opportunity.
What about his wife?
Oh, yeah, what about the wife? Yeah.
Can't be married if they don't know they're dead.
True story. And the architect of all of this misery, Graham, the adventurous, Graham, the fruit taker.
I had one plan. One very simple plan. Just move forward like 15 feet, just a little bit to see. And I got those tips like perfect. About to turn around. Then I hear a gong going. I'm going, no. I had a long day. I want to go back. I want to have some tea. I want to do my own little evil planning session, but no. And then everything just happened at once. Everything. And I'm just like, okay, best way to think about it. And the natural one was narrative for that one moment. So it was actually perfect. As a player, I loved everybody's decisions. It was fantastic. 2-hour format is perfect because the flow fits really well. 1 hour sessions actually are too short, because it just feels like the momentum of the story builds and it gets to the part where it's like, and then you're going to end it until next week. It's like, okay. Like, I mean, they're good, but it's like, it didn't feel like there was enough. But like the 2-hour sessions, it really brings more to the table. It's like, okay, I'm satisfied. This is a good cliffhanger for the next part. But I liked this is probably one of my favorite episodes, actually, because we had a lot of great, funny, ridiculous moments, so many climaxes, so many clashes, while, honestly, I felt kind of useless, even though I thought, like, all right, I have a plan. I'm going to get some more information. I'm just going to make this simple, easy peasy. No, I made it hard for everybody, and I was legitimately afraid that I led to the party's death, except for Mutaru.
Oh, and for Green's side, he feels like he kind of wants to die.
And unfortunately, I've written privately to John here. He's got quite a mess to deal with. I'm sorry,
right.
Con.
The delirious confessionary and things happening at the end is very interesting as well. I look forward to discovering where that leads to. So just finishing us off, Blackston, how did you find the 2-hour session and how did you find the session?
2-hour session? Was it?
It was.
No, I think, going back to what Michael said earlier, that at times you can have lulls in action, and you need to have like an ebb and flow in action. That's just how narration goes in general. And sorry if there's like cars going on in the back. It was actually my fire alarm that went off because for some reason, even though it was turned off, my my kitchen was on fire, so to speak. So yeah, that's why I kind of opened up the windows right now to kind of circulate the air a little bit. But everything is under control, no problem. Blackston has it under control.
Fire
Everything is fine. No, so I think that everybody didn't wait long until to act. So when it was the spotlight was in their place, everybody was quick to interact, to do something, and that is, I think, a very wonderful characteristic of us, of our group, and of each and every player, and also of you as a dungeon master who handled a 4-time split fabulously. So I know that is extremely hard on a dungeon master, and can lead to the dungeon master thinking, oh shit, what am I gonna do with this person? He hasn't had anything to do in the last 2 hours, or whatever it was, right? So I think that went very well. On the session in general, and why Blackston did what he did, is no man left behind, man. There's no decision to be made here. It's just going down the gullet, right? But yeah, I thought also what maybe might be the difference between Mutaro and Blackston going down there, because I assume both would have ended up in the honeycomb, right? Blackston wouldn't want to kill anybody. He would try to diplomacy first, and I'm not sure if Mutaro would necessarily do that, depending if there are 2 spears pointing in his direction, at least, right? So it's nor here nor there. At least that's I'm very happy with how that turned out. Although Blackston is not very happy that he kind of made an alliance with like savages because of personal reasons. That is not what he likes to do usually, especially since they already talked about being at war with like a city. Yeah, and on my personal note, maybe for the session, I imagine it going a completely different direction.
You do?
Had like some ideas that Blackston would want to bring up, but that's still on the table. That can happen
next session
when you turn in next week.
There you go. And on that note, I think that's a good ending. So thank you everybody for staying with us and for watching. Thank you to my wonderful players who obviously had a good time. I certainly had an absolute blast trying to figure out what the hell to do. And yes, we will see you all again next week for more adventures, the Windswift. Till then, goodbye.